Star Trek, Nemesis ending and why it killed TNG movies explained. The fourth and final Star Trek, the Next Generation movie, Star Trek, Nemesis, put a nail in the coffin of what was, at the time, a dying Star Trek franchise. Star Trek, Nemesis saw Captain Jean-Luc Picard Patrick Stewart confront a younger clone of himself, Shinzen Tom Hardy, who had been created by Romulans to secretly replace Picard. Shinzen had been discarded to the mines of Remus before becoming the new Romulan Praetor to exact his revenge. Star Trek, Nemesis's subplot featured the discovery of B4, Brent Spiner, an inferior Soong-type android built before LT. Commander Data, Brent Spiner. In theory, Star Trek, Nemesis's high-stakes cinematic action, with a screenplay and story by Academy Award-nominated John Logan with Brent Spiner, was designed to draw casual moviegoers. Further, Star Trek, Nemesis's themes of identity and duality in its Picard and Data storylines were supposed to create that cerebral Star Trek touch. In practice, Star Trek, Nemesis fell apart by packing its 1 hour and 57-minute runtime with more style than substance. Star Trek, Insurrection's lukewarm reception soured suits on Jonathan Frakes taking the helm again, but franchise newcomer Stuart Baird directed Nemesis like a Star Trek movie that was afraid to be Star Trek, leaving Star Trek, the Next Generation's beloved ensemble rudderless and inconsistent. Star Trek, Nemesis's ending explained. Star Trek, Nemesis ends with a face-off between the USS Enterprise E and Shinzen's massive starship, the Scimitar. Shinzen vowed to take revenge by using deadly tolerant radiation to wipe out all life on Earth, which the Enterprise must prevent at all costs. Romulan Commander Donatra, Dina Meyer, arrives to help the Enterprise, not Shinzen, citing internal security. While the Scimitar is distracted by Donatra's warbirds, Counselor Deanna Troi, Marina Sirtis, empathically locates Shinzen's cloaked ship and opens fire. The Enterprise is outgunned, however, and remands board the ship to seize what Shinzen truly wants, Captain Picard. Rather than suffer more casualties, Picard yields to remand capture, while Data crosses the space between the Enterprise and Scimitar's open hulls. As the tolerant emitter charges, Shinzen and Jean-Luc meet in single combat, with Picard victoriously spearing Shinzen, who's consumed by his own hubris. Data places an emergency transport key on his captain and beams Picard back to the Enterprise, before Data destroys the Thalaron emitter, sacrificing himself in the process. Data's memory is celebrated on the Enterprise E, and Donatra promises Picard a friend in the Romulan Empire. Shinzen's determination to find and unleash the darkness in Picard's heart is his own downfall. At the end of Star Trek, Nemesis, Shinzen's determination to find and unleash the darkness in Picard's heart is his own downfall. Shinzen and Picard share DNA and a sense of justice for the downtrodden, but Shinzen insists that Jean-Luc would be as megalomaniacal as Shinzen is had Picard also been raised in the darkness of the Reman mines. Picard's equally steadfast insistence that Shinzen is capable of doing good only proves how alike they are, instead of supporting the movie's stated point that their backgrounds make them different. Star Trek, Nemesis, released in 2002, served as the final cinematic outing for the beloved cast of Star Trek, The Next Generation, TNG. Despite the rich legacy of the franchise and the deep connection fans had with the TNG crew, the film's underwhelming reception marked the end of an era for the TNG movies. This begs the question, what went wrong with Nemesis, and why did it bring an end to the series of films featuring Captain Jean-Luc Picard and his crew? To understand the impact, we need to dive into the movie's ending and its broader implications. The plot of Star Trek, Nemesis. Nemesis centers around the confrontation between Captain Picard, Patrick Stewart, and Shinzen, Tom Hardy, a clone of Picard created by the Romulans as part of an abandoned political plot. Shinzen, a product of hardship and bitterness, rises to power as the leader of the Romulan Empire and hatches a plan to destroy Earth using a deadly weapon known as the Tolerant Radiation Device. Throughout the film, Picard grapples with the moral implications of facing a younger, darker reflection of himself. Similarly, the android Data, Brent Spiner, confronts his own duality in the form of B4, an earlier, less advanced version of himself. These parallel storylines explore identity, free will, and the choices that define us. The climactic ending. The climax of Star Trek, Nemesis unfolds during a battle between the USS Enterprise E and Shinzen's massive warship, the Scimitar. With Earth's survival at stake, Picard leads a desperate boarding mission to destroy the Tolerant weapon. In a dramatic moment of sacrifice, Data transfers his consciousness to B4 and then uses a personal transporter to send Picard back to the Enterprise before destroying the Scimitar and himself in the process. The film ends with the crew of the Enterprise mourning Data's death, while B4 begins to display traces of Data's personality, hinting at the possibility of his return. Picard reflects on the fragility of life and the importance of embracing change. However, this bittersweet conclusion was not enough to satisfy fans or critics. Why Star Trek? Nemesis failed. 1. Poor box office performance. Star Trek: Nemesis was a commercial failure, earning only $67 million worldwide against a production budget of $60 million. Competing with blockbuster hits like The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, it struggled to find an audience. Many fans felt fatigued by the franchise, and the marketing failed to generate excitement. 2. Criticism of the story. While the film had moments of emotional depth, its plot was widely criticized for being derivative and uninspired. The evil clone trope felt like a missed opportunity for the rich storytelling potential of the Star Trek universe. Shinzen's motivations, while tragic, lacked the nuance of iconic villains like Khan Noonien Singh. 3. Tone and execution. Nemesis leaned heavily into darker themes, but its execution felt inconsistent with the optimistic spirit of TNG. While fans appreciated emotional depth, the film's bleak tone, coupled with the loss of Data, left many feeling dissatisfied. The action-heavy approach also overshadowed the franchise's trademark philosophical exploration. 4. Declining interest in Star Trek. By the early 2000s, Star Trek was struggling to remain relevant. The TNG-era series had concluded, and Star Trek: Voyager had ended in 2001. With Star Trek: Enterprise 2001 to 2005 failing to capture the same magic as its predecessors, the franchise's popularity was waning. 5. Creative disconnect. Brent Spiner, who co-wrote the film, intended for Data's death to be a meaningful narrative choice. However, this decision divided fans. Data was one of the franchise's most beloved characters, and his death felt abrupt and lacking in the emotional weight of Spock's sacrifice in The Wrath of Khan. Furthermore, the film's ending left many loose ends, failing to provide a satisfying farewell for the TNG crew. Why Nemesis killed the TNG movies? The poor reception of Nemesis underscored the challenges of continuing the TNG film series. After the critical and commercial success of Star Trek: First Contact 1996, the TNG films began to decline in quality and reception. Both Insurrection 1998 and Nemesis failed to capture the same magic, leading to diminishing returns. Moreover, the ending of Nemesis felt final in a way that left little room for sequels. With Data gone, Riker and Troy departing for the USS Titan, and Picard reflecting on change, the crew's journey seemed complete. Rather than setting up a new chapter, the film closed the door on the TNG era. Paramount Pictures, recognizing the franchise's decline, chose to reboot Star Trek with J.J. Abrams' 2009 film, shifting the focus to a younger cast and a fresh timeline. This creative pivot marked the end of the TNG films as the franchise moved in a new direction. Legacy of Nemesis. While Star Trek: Nemesis marked the end of the TNG movies, it remains a point of debate among fans. Some appreciate its ambitious themes and moments of character-driven drama, while others see it as a missed opportunity. In hindsight, Nemesis serves as a reminder of the challenges of balancing fan expectations, creative risks, and the evolving landscape of cinema. Ultimately, the TNG crew's story continued in other forms, including the acclaimed series Star Trek: Picard. Despite its flaws,